Hello, everyone. I am Sacrabalic, your envoy of hope. There we go. And welcome back to Dialogue Tree, episode 15, the first episode of the year. And, yeah, the last one in this cycle before we do the awards. I was actually genuinely concerned about the awards for a while. Because I only remembered playing like 5 games last year, but turns out I played 10. So probably going to downsize the awards this year, but I don't think that's a big deal. My camera looks out of focus. There we go. That's better. I don't. Fucking everything is broken this stream. Beautiful. Love it. Don't know what's going on with that. Fix my audio quality on this side. And, yeah, so I was worried about that, but, yeah, it turns out that I actually have 10 games, so probably going to downsize the Stream Awards. Not the Streamer Awards, the Dialogue Tree Awards in, should be next Sunday, but, yeah. Pardon me. So anyway, yeah, we're a little late for the stream tonight, but hey, I said I would do it, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to be honest, I actually considered going fully sober for this stream. But I ended up picking up a little something for cheap. So because I don't want to do a lot of drinking, because we're going to have to fucking drink the champagne in like a week. So outside of my half bottle of vodka, let me just take a sip real quick. Half bottle of vodka. I got just a bunch of like mini things. I got this like 99 peach. This is 1.7 ounces. So it's some sort of like peach liquor. I don't know what the alcohol value is though. But yeah, some sort of peach liquor. That's backward because it makes it easier for me to point. 99 brand. 15% alcohol by volume, served chilled. So that's easy enough. We got apples, which is green, which is getting filtered out by my green screen. Woo! And we got a Fireball. We got Fireball, which is a cinnamon whiskey. Also 1.7 ounces. Same bottling plant, actually, I think. And I don't know what the alcohol content on this is. 16.5% alcohol by volume. So, fun fact, I fucking hate whiskey, and it makes me gag. I hate it so much. I'm a little more excited about the other things. But yeah, so we've got those 3. That's it. It's, 1.7 ounces times 3. So, it's not a lot of alcohol at all. 5.1 ounces. Yeah, get the fuck out of here. So yeah, not a lot at all. But I'm not looking for heavy drinking tonight. This is so late. I'm also not expecting many, if anyone, to show up for this stream. So maybe, hey, if you're watching this at home, maybe it's just you and me tonight. All right, hey, well, in that fancy. What the fuck is going on with this? Yeah, I fucking hate whiskey. I also don't have a lot of topics tonight. Honestly, we're probably just going to talk about a lot of 40K. That's probably the big thing. But anyway, yeah, let's pop this fucking Fireball. Do that. That's going to be our thing tonight. Here we go. Give a scent there, and... Oh, that's not bad. That's not bad at all. The cinnamon hits weird. I'm not getting any tongue hit. It's just all back of the throat. But the cinnamon overrides the whiskey flavor by like a really high degree. So it doesn't taste like whiskey, which is probably why I'm not puking everywhere. They say you puke on whiskey once and you never drink whiskey again. So the fact that this tastes like cinnamon. There it is. There it is. You gotta let it sit on the tongue for a little bit. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god, I just turned fucking pink, I think. Anyway, yeah, okay, so what have I been up to? So, yeah, my PC is having some issues, which is why I haven't been streaming. That's the excuse I'm going with. I also kind of don't want to. But no, honestly, I genuinely was planning to do something when I got my computer fixed, but I haven't gotten my computer fixed. So hold on, there's like dust on this webcam. It's like bugging me. There we go. So the idea was, I was assuming, because my computer was like cutting in and out again, and the last time that happened, it was like a PSU issue. So the idea was, if I fix the PSU, if I change over the PSU, then that would fix the problem. And so I knew that the like 50 series NVIDIA cards were required a different PSU. So I'm like, well, if I'm going to change over the PSU, and I'm planning to get like a new graphics card in the future anyway, because my graphics card's like the one part of my computer that's like sort of outdated. So the idea was, well, if I'm going to do this anyway, and I feel like I definitely should like spring on getting a new graphics card before the graphics card price increases go on. Glad I did that, because I think it's getting even crazier. Anyway. So I was like, well, okay, if this is going to be a problem, if the graphics cards are going to go up for sure, and I need to replace my PSU, I might as well replace the graphics card at the same time. So I ended up doing that. I swapped over my 2070 to a 5070, and I changed over to an appropriate PSU, and I tested it to make sure that the cords are installed properly and not melting, and we're all good on that. And what happened, believe it or not, is that the fucking computer is still fucking up. So it wasn't a power supply problem. I don't regret getting the graphics card, but it wasn't a power supply problem. So I ended up doing a bunch of tests on the computer, and so I checked my RAM. My RAM seems good, and I checked the CPU, and the CPU seems fine. So I checked both of those, no issues there. But what ended up happening was I ended up installing some fucking program I was prompted to, Crystal Disk? Anyway, turns out what appears to be failing is my hard drive, which I use for storage, which is not the same thing as the SSD boot drive. Thank God on that one, because that would cause incalculable issues. But it seems to be my storage hard drive is what's failing. So I was going to buy a new hard drive, but I was like, well, look, hard drives are prone to failure. I was going to upgrade from like a, what do you use, personal use, like hard drive to a sort of like commercial industrial grade hard drive, which is like twice as good for writing. But then I was like, well, why not bypass the slot entirely since I have another SSD slot? So I bought another SSD, and I bought that SSD fucking 2-3 weeks ago, and it was supposed to be here right now, but Amazon pushed the delivery date for the SSD, and so what happened is it's pushed to like the 16th now, and it was supposed to be delivered by the 20th of like December. So it's still not here. So I'm still waiting for that fucking SSD, and according to Amazon, they haven't even fucking shipped it yet. So I might need to get a refund on that and buy a different SSD, but I think I'm locked into this SSD train now, and it was a bit of a storage downgrade because my hard drive is 3 terabytes and this was 2 terabytes, but I'm not using even 1 terabyte on my current hard drive, so I felt like it was an acceptable downgrade as far as that goes. But yeah, so I was basically waiting to like get, because I don't want to fuck with the, like, I want to leave the hard drive as alone as possible, because apparently those hard drives tend to like accelerate their degradations. So I wanted to make sure that the hard drive was in like as good condition as possible. So I didn't want to stream and like irritate it or anything, or like run it too heavy stuff off of it. And yeah, what ended up happening is that I just didn't get the fucking SSD, so I can't transfer over to the hard drive, and I'm worried about like everything fucking shit in the bed. So that's where the streams have been. They haven't been fucking anywhere. Technically, this and the award ceremony are also in the same vein as like worrying about the streaming and stuff fucking with it, but I'm not gonna miss an episode of Dialogue Tree or the awards. So, Oh my god. Oh, when I went looking for the whiskey, I found it. I can't. Oh god. It used to be the thought of whiskey would make me gag, and it's still doing that. Anyway, that's me. That's what I've been up to. Just a whole lot of trying to fix my fucking computer. What else we got going on? That's it for me. I don't know. Other than that, just like a whole lot of work, I guess. What else we got? Yeah, Grandma Sack. What's going on with Grandma Sack? She finished most of the Phoenix Wright games, and I put her on to Final Fantasy X. So she's been playing through Final Fantasy X. I don't know. I guess that's it for the recap. What's been going on my channel? As far as the anime channel goes, we have just been working through non-stop favorite searches for Monogatari, which we're about to end. I have a really big project I'd like to get to in 2026. So what I'm going to say is, as far as Sunday releases for the anime channel, we're probably looking at a large decrease in those coming up. I want to get it in March, but as time has progressively shown, I actually am starting to more and more realize that I don't think March is... Because it makes sense, because that was when the water bombs were dropping. But I consistently have issues trying to get this stuff done in March. So I don't know if that's going to be possible or not. Probably not. But I want to also... There's a decent chance I'm going to be moving in the future soon. So, yeah. Basically, I'm trying to stock up on episodes of, like, Popcorn for that. Because if I can't upload for a few weeks, then I don't want the Wednesday, Monday, Friday uploads. So we're looking at going forward in the future, probably pretty soon, a huge Sunday episode deficit in Shouting Through the Chorus, which is okay, because I've always considered Sunday episodes sort of as like the bonus episodes. So, but yeah, I feel like that is something worth bringing up, I guess. Pardon me. But anyway, yeah, that's what's going on with that. We're still going to finish up Monogatari because all of those episodes have been recorded, thank God. And I want to do a compilation episode where I re-edit all of them into chronological order. So look forward to that, I guess. But yeah, that's what's going on with the anime channel. Also coming up on, I want to say April, which is when we started Knights of the Old Republic 2, which means we have almost taken a full year to finish that game, because I have not been streaming like I'm trying to. Although, if I do move, I will say this, I'll need to find a new job again, and part of me wants to, and I don't want to promise this, but part of me wants to, while I'm looking for a job, just to like get favorite search done. So I don't want to promise that that's going to happen, but I do like the idea of just getting through with favorite search, like finishing KOTOR, finishing Raito, which I think I've already bought. I'm pretty sure I bought Raito. And just finishing all of it, all the way to the end of the favorite search, and working on like the last Persona games. And yeah, so that's the goal, that's the hopes for the new year, and that's what's going on with me. That is your intro to the podcast. Let's finish off the last of this fireball, baby. Oh God, it hit the back of my throat wrong. Oh, that's awful. Oh, I hate it. All right, we're done with that. All right, what did I play? Since November, I played Dispatch, every episode of Dispatch. Yeah, okay, so what did I think about Dispatch? Dispatch is, I will say, I do miss the old Telltale option of just not fucking saying anything, because I know that there's like default options if you don't say anything in Dispatch, and I would actually love the option to genuinely just blank stare at people sometimes. But yeah, otherwise it does feel like a bit of a refinement of the Telltale games. I honestly am not a fan of the Dispatch part of the game where you send the heroes to the locations. There's like a lot of like randomness to it, and it seems fun, but I don't know. It is the part that mostly sold me on the game, but it was the part I ended up enjoying the least. It's a very like simple send character, hope character succeeds, make random choices. It ended up not being as fun or engaging as I wanted it to be, as I was hoping it was. What ended up becoming, to me, the like real selling point of the game was the story. Hey, maid, what's going on? How are you doing? I live, as I was explaining. Hey, Dispatch, I liked it. I was just explaining how I liked it. As I was explaining, I've been gone because my fucking hard drive is failing. So I'm trying to get a new hard drive, and Amazon keeps pushing my delivery date. There you go, you're caught up. And I drank a Fireball. I drank the whole thing already. That's where we're at so far. This is not a very alcohol-heavy stream. I didn't want to... That's... Yeah. Anyway, Dispatch. I ended up not liking the Dispatch portion of the game. Is the thing. Despite what sold me on the game was the Dispatch portion, it feels like a not fully realized minigame. I did read about you finishing Gunsmith Cats. I was going to make a joke, and then I forgot what the exact comment was that laid me up for that joke, so I didn't make the joke. What was the exact comment? Hold on, let's see. Finished Gunsmith, awesome OVA, manga pretty cool, established. Okay, I remember. The joke I was going to make was, you had me at pantyhose fetish. There we go. I forgot to write that. Anyway. But yeah, no, so, like, I didn't really like the dispatching angle of the game. What really stole me was, like, sort of like the story and characters. Some of the characters were really underdeveloped as far as like the whole team goes. Like, realistically, we know mostly about it was really sort of like a Robert Invisigal story, with a little bit of touch of like Blonde Blazer and a little bit of a touch of like Sonar and Coop, and even they were a little cut out of the game. Nervous to read Gunsmith Cat's Burst because it's more of the same, but infamously had a horrible ending because the author got super burnt out. I haven't gotten into Gunsmith Cats. It's on the docket, but I have not gotten to it. So, crazy thing about this, everyone leans heavily towards Invisigal as far as, like, actual player base goes, which, like, baffles me. Apparently it's because Invisigal gets the most screen time, which, if so, I guess, like, familiarity, breeding endearment or whatever. But like I don't dislike any of the characters in the game, but I went Blonde Blazer obviously because she's just like a good person is sort of the thing, whereas Invisigal's kind of the fucking bad guy, honestly, for most of the game. Although, in my playthrough, I got the ending where you're dating Blazer and you managed to make Invisigal a hero. And who did I cut from the team? I cut Coop from the team, which I actually kind of regret, because most of the reason I cut Coop from the team was because everyone was super big on Sonar because he was like voiced by Moist Critical. But if I'm being honest, like the whole game, I think I ended up liking Coop more. So I actually wish I'd kept Coop and cut Sonar instead. That might be my one regret with the playthrough. But anyway, I ended up joining them back under the team because fuck it, everyone gets a pass. And I fucking murdered Shroud. That's what I fucking did. I murdered Shroud, and I was like, it felt good. It felt good to murder Shroud. And then I got the hero ending because I did so much good guy stuff. So, you got no romance end. That is also a possibility, I guess. But yeah, so I liked the characters, and the characters I think are like the big thing for it. It's very much like a sort of like character study. It's also worth noting that you could have easily made Robert just like a generic guy, but they sell the celibacy route. You don't bang Blonde Blazer even if you romance her, so I don't think you bang a Invisigal either, though. Do you? No, just in her dream. So you're celibate no matter what route, is what I'm hearing. But, But yeah, I think the characters are the real sell on this. I do think the Shroud plotline might have been a little underdeveloped because it was always cooking in the background, but then Shroud just like shoots that guy and then shows up, and I'm like, I feel like this could have been delivered more. Also, it's worth noting that like Shroud's gimmick is he can predict what everyone's doing, but that doesn't explain why he was untouchable at the end. Because like, here's the thing, right? If you were in a ring against Mike Tyson, and prime Mike Tyson, and Mike Tyson was like, I'm going to throw a straight punch right into your fucking face, you'd be like, got it. And then you were not going to stop him from doing that, is the thing. And it really felt like that sort of like, especially towards the end of the game, there was an issue with Shroud in that regard. Because it's like, okay, but I understand that he can predict everything, but there's like 50 people like fucking jumping him right now. It doesn't matter how much predicting you're doing. If 50 people are jumping you, you're getting your ass beat. Me and my brother joke that Robert is just kick-ass with a mech suit. Robert's great. I like Robert. Who's my favorite character? I don't know. I really do like Mandy. I do like Blonde Blazer. I do not, despite not romancing Invisigal, I do like Invisigal as a character. There's a huge debate about Invisigal sexually assaulting Robert versus Blonde Blazer potentially leading him on. But I will say in that regard that if we're looking at what happens, it is worth noting that Blazer doesn't like engage with Robert and doesn't make a move on Robert while she's with Phenomenon Man. So if we're looking at the actual text about what happens, technically Blazer does nothing wrong, and there you go. That's why I am sticking with a Blazer. And plus, she was going to break it off with Phenomena Man anyway. So, like, she doesn't cheat on him, and she mostly just shows attraction towards someone while she's already, like, 1 foot at the door. So it doesn't feel like a super sketchy, emotional thing. I don't know why I'm talking about the shipping, because the game turned into shipping wars, is sort of the thing. Everyone's talking about the ships right now. And the fact is, like I said, it's really a game about the characters. Because, really, I don't know what I'm supposed to talk about the plot. It's like, oh, I'm getting a mech suit, and then you dispatch a bunch of guys, and then they're dysfunctional, and then, oh, you get a mech suit. She doesn't really lead him on, consequences of the good. I will say, she does a little bit. She does a little bit, but she doesn't, like, she's flirting with him, for sure. She is for sure flirting with him. But she doesn't engage with him. She doesn't take it a step further. And in that regard, you can't say she cheated on Phenomena Man because any action towards trying to pursue Blonde Blazer is done on the side of Robert. Right? Like, like people are like, oh, she kissed Robert. And it's like, well, no. As she herself points out, Robert would kiss her, which I didn't even make that choice because there were so many spoilers about the game that I knew she was in a relationship, and I don't condone cheating. So I'm going to say this, if she cheated on Phenomena Man in your playthrough, that's on you, boo. All right? You know what? Maybe get consent before you kiss a woman. You ever think about that? Okay, so where are we on peaches versus apples? Oh, shit. It's actually anti-ours. Where are we at peaches versus apples? Where are we at? Where are we at peaches versus apple? I want apple, which is why we're going to do peach. Which is why we're going to do peach. We're doing it in reverse order. That's why we started with the fucking fireball. Peach. Okay, there we go. So we're in agreement. Let's go. Peach, baby. That's just peach. That's just peach with some alcohol. It's like you dropped a peach in some alcohol. It's just peach alcohol. I like apples, but I'm not a huge fan of like apple flavored things. Yeah, it really is just peach flavoring with alcohol. It doesn't sit on the tongue well though. Neither did the fireball. It's really hard to get that screwed back in. I could just like drain it, but it's sour apple. I mean, it's green, so I'm assuming it's sour. Anyway, Yeah, I don't know. The more I think about the Dispatch, the more I think the story itself was kind of weak, and a lot of it was like sort of like character writing. Because when you break it down, what really it is it's a story about a character mentoring a bunch of fuck-up former supervillains, and also it's a story about a guy trying to avenge his family from an evil supervillain. And one of those storylines was really interesting and engaging, and they do cross over with each other. But the other one of those was like really basic. Like I said, the Shroud thing didn't really incentivize engagement. There's not really a lot to dip into. The team is really cool. The game sold 3 million copies, apparently, which is pretty good game sales. So apparently they're making a season 2. The same studio is also working on some sort of Critical Role project. I'm more excited about the Dispatch thing as someone who has been watching Critical Role since the first campaign. I am more excited about Dispatch Season 2 than I am whatever the Critical Role thing is, but I am interested in what the Critical Role thing is. Like, is it like a Telltale-style Vox Machina campaign? Because, like, that'd be fucking weird. Or something. Also, worth noting that, like, supplementary Critical Role content, I am not a big fan of. I've talked about my problems with the Vox Machina show before, and I guess I have another season or something to catch up on, and now they have the Mighty Nine show, and I never, as everyone remembers, I wasn't even a big Mighty Nine fan when that was airing. So yeah, I don't know. I'm more interested in Dispatch Season 2. A lot of people want to date Malevola, and I'm concerned because apparently the devs said that they are aware that like the Walking Dead games ballooned out of control with player choice, which is laughable because your choices in those games just mattered so little that the ending I got for Walking Dead 2 wasn't even a pickable option in Walking Dead 4. But, gotta say, Borderlands got it right. Bunkers and Badass is an objectively better name. But, yeah, I'm concerned that because everyone went for Visigal, the idea in Dispatch 2 might just be to be like, okay, well, Invisigal's the canon option, and then it doesn't import your romance options into the game at all, which would be a disappointment, and I'm gonna be honest, like, such a change from my playthrough ending, because also most people didn't fucking manage to make Invisigal a hero, either. Like, most people failed at that. So if it's like Invisigal's a villain, but you dated her, and like that's the direction of Season 2, because they went with like what everyone else did, rather than like importing your choices from Season 1, that would actually be like a real detraction point, and I might not even like play the game at that point. It's also possible they might like swap characters, which feels like a bit of a waste, because then you're just exploring the universe, but the universe itself isn't actually all that interesting, because it's a game based heavily on character interaction. A game that ballooned out of control with player choice would be like Fallout 2 or something. Yeah, or Mass Effect. Which is why the ending of Mass Effect 3 fucking faltered, because there was too many options. I actually think Mass Effect 3 would have been better if all of your choices across all 3 games had been like, congratulations, you've saved the day, or congratulations, you fucked it. And if you had only played... This is scum. This is almost scummy, but it is also EA, so hear me out. Excuse me. What about in Mass Effect, if there was a way to actually beat or outlast the Reapers, but it is determined by like how many points you have, because like how many war assets you have, and so if you are only playing Mass Effect 3, it's possible to defeat the Reapers, but it's really, really hard. But if you made really good choices throughout all of the other games and your war assets were really high, then you're like, if you play the other games, it'd be a lot easier to defeat the Reapers, unless you made the worst choices at every single opportunity, in which case you're definitely fucked no matter what. Like, it should be a balance point between like positive assets versus you done fucked it points, and I think that would have been a more satisfactory way to handle Mass Effect 2. But yeah, so like if Dispatch swaps to a different set of characters in the universe, that's going to be a hard sell, but I might still be on board. But it's worth noting that Dispatch is a game centered around its characters and not its universe. And like, I don't think anyone like, does anyone actually think the Dispatch universe itself, without, like, divorced from its characters, is interesting? Probably not, right? It's mostly about the characters. And then if it's, like, Robert with, like, a different team, well, then it's like, okay, well, then we're sort of abandoning all the characters from the first one. But then if it's, like, pre-selected based on what most players did, my playthrough was completely different, because most people didn't fucking make Vizzy a hero, and most people dated her. So, like, I'm fucked, and that's, like, the one scenario where I'm, like, for sure out, probably, because, like, then my whole playthrough is fucked, so I don't know. Also, like, if Invisigal is a character I would totally be friends with, but would absolutely not date, is the thing. Hey, Sith, welcome. I forgot you streamed. Well, that is because I do it about once every 2 months at this point. My hard drive is failing, so I've been trying to get that fixed. And Amazon keeps delaying the delivery. So that's partially where I've been. Also, I just don't want to. I've been streaming for like fucking 15 years. I'm done. I don't want to do it anymore. It's almost like a lollipop drenched in alcohol, is what that almost is. So anyway, that's where I stand on Dispatch. I think the characters were good. I think the story was a little lackluster, and the gameplay was a little weak. Nice, I gotcha. That's true. That is true. This is the first stream of the year. Wow. Did I have anything else to say about Dispatch? I don't think so. Alright, yeah, I guess we're done with Dispatch. That's what I thought about Dispatch. It was a good game. Is it a great game? Probably. Probably a barely. Probably a nice 8 out of 10, I would say. I don't think I would go higher than that. Might be Game of the Year, though. Who knows? Did not play a lot of games in 2025. Alright, let's hit us up with... So, everyone knows that I've been locking in on Xenoblade, which is a game that I've not been fond of. I've not been speaking fondly of my playthroughs of Xenoblade. So, let's start us off with Space Marine 2. That's right, I realized that there was zero fucking way I was going to beat Xenoblade in time for this podcast, so I stopped trying, and I instead went on to Space Marine 2, another game I said I was going to finish last year, and I actually did. And I'm also not going to lie with you, Space Marine 2 was so much more fun than Xenoblade. I'm telling you, everyone talks about Xenoblade, but like, they're like, oh, the story's so good, but like, the side quests are so fucking trash, and there's so many of them, and the combat system is terrible. And normally I don't care about those things, and most people know I kind of care about the side quests, but most people know I don't normally talk about the gameplay, so if I'm like, oh god, Xenoblade's combat is fucking dog shit, you know, Xenoblade's combat is fucking dog shit. Anyway, bring us on to Space Marine 2. Space Marine 2 came out, what, like a fucking decade after the original one? This one clearly feels like a revival, because it's set, what, 100 years, I think? 200. No, it's 100 years, because he has 2 service studs, and they comment that he's 200 years old, which means that he's using the 50-year studs, which means, yeah, it's set a century after the last one. Where our boy Titus has been serving in the Death Watch as a Black Shield during a Tyranid invasion. Ooh, we got the bugs. Tyranids are one of my favorite 40k factions, so it's actually cool to see them, although I will say you don't fight most of the big boy bugs. Most of the big boy bugs aren't in this one. Like, you fight a Hive Tyrant in one of the side missions, and that mission is fucking hard. But you don't fight like the Swarm Lord or something cool like that. Probably because Titus is like a dude. He's just like a dude. He's not like a Cato Sicarius or a fucking... oh god, who's the fucking chapter master? He's not Papa Smurf or anything. But yeah, our boy serving in like Deathwatch. Turns out that we have gotten post Resurrection of Gilliman. We're into the Indominus Crusade, and our boy gets like fucked up during a Tyranid invasion, and he gets picked up by the the Ultramarines, and they fucking put him through the Rubicon surgery, and now our boy is a Primaris Marine. So that is pretty cool. Not sure how that timeline works on that. I was unaware that the Rubicon surgery was created so close to the resurrection of Gilliman, but also the timeline in 40k is fucking weird because the warp is fucking weird. But I thought it was like a century. Well, I guess it was a century after the Indominus Crusade. But that would have meant that Titus would have been banished from the chapter at the start of the resurrection of Gilliman? Isn't that how? Because we're like 1 century into the 40. Aren't we like one century into like the next like 1,000 years into the next? Well, whatever. Who cares? Point is, here's what happens to you. You end up going through the Rubicon surgery, and it sort of like rehashes a lot of what the first game did, where you're on a planet, like a Mechanicus world, and it's being swarmed by Xenos, but instead of orcs, it's Tyranids. Tyranids are a lot easier in this game to deal with than the orcs were in the first game. And because the Tyranids don't shoot fucking rockets at you, which is actually hilarious because I believe the Octarius War shows that given enough time, Tyranids will out-adapt orcs, and so technically Tyranids should be harder. But also the invasion just sort of starts when you get into it, so I guess we didn't get endgame Nids. I guess we're sort of like fighting off a minor splinter fleet. But anyway, doesn't matter on that. He is demoted in this from captain to, what, lieutenant, I think it is? And so he's operating under the second company captain, which he used to be the second company captain, which I guess is there to sort of be like, why the fuck is this guy not been a captain, to allow him to more easily slot into the canon of the new 40k shit. And yeah, they put him in front of a new squad, and then we have like a member under him who's suspicious, like the previous squad was before, and then Chaos shows up, and they're like, oh, the Codex Astartes doesn't support this action, and they start doing that shit again, and then Chaos forces show up, and once again, just like the first game, when the Chaos Marines show up, Chaos forces and the demons are easier to fight than the Xenos by an order of magnitude. And we've got 1,000 Suns in this game, which are, oh god, what are they? Rubric Marines, I think, which is why they like collapse into dust, because they're just like souls shoved into suits of armor. After the old school fucky wucky, who I forget whether it was like the Thousand Suns leader or whether it was Magnus who fucked up. I think it was like the Thousand Suns leader whose name I'm not remembering because I frankly don't remember most of the chapter masters. If you were to ask me to name every chapter master in 40k, I would get probably as far as Dante, and I think I'd run out immediately. I don't know if Horus counts. I guess Horus counts. So, anyway, yeah, so Chaos is so much easier, which is hilarious, because I actually will say that if, like, the Codex of the Tyranids is actually correct, because one of the, like, latest... I think it's the latest codex, brings up the line, there may be more hive fleets than there are worlds. Like, if that's true, the galaxy's fucked and the Tyranids have won, for sure. And if the theory that the Tyranids have already eaten the rest of the galaxy is true, then that's also a sort of thing. But, like, it is hilarious how much easier it is to deal with Chaos than it is orcs or Tyranids. It's actually, like, sort of adorable. A fucking Lord of Change shows up in this goddamn game, and you fight a Lord of Change with the fucking Calgar. Marnius Calgar is the Ultramarine chapter master. Why did that take me so long to remember? Yeah, when I heard that the final boss of this was a fucking Lord of Change, my immediate thought was like, there ain't no fucking way Titus is gonna beat a Lord of Change. But I will say Calgar doesn't really help, but also it is worth noting that the boss health bar, every time I had seen shots of this fight against the Lord of Change, isn't the Lord of Change's health bar. It's actually the, like, Chaos 1,000 Sun Marine you're fighting, who's on top of the Lord of Change, and also the Lord of Change is getting, like, weakened by a series of artifacts that are nearby that are, like, decreasing the, like, power of the warp nearby. So not only do you not fight or defeat a Lord of Change, but you you're basically fighting the Marine riding on the Lord of Change while the Lord of Change is being weakened. And I am much more okay with that than defeating a Lord of Change, because the whole time I was like, how the fuck is Titus beating a Lord of Change? Seems like a bit of an outclassing. And it was, and the game sort of acknowledges that. And I have to say that the game does a really good job of handling the lore. I do feel like the guard takes a bit of a step back in this one, and I think part of it's just they're so fucking outclassed. I've tried to look out for my guard buddies while playing the game, but especially now that Titus is a fucking Primaris and he's even taller, they're just like tiny little ant people, and it's like really hard to like protect the tiny ant people while a swarm of 1 million enemies are running at you, because sometimes they just get lost in the fucking shuffle because they're the same size as the things you're killing. I don't think the game lets you kill the guard. I tried once because I was curious. But it is worth noting that, like, I guess as far as, like, what it feels to be a Space Marine, not, like, what it feels to be a cool named Space Marine, I think this game probably gives you this sort of, like, definitive experience. Like, if we're talking, like, regular, Hormigons, I think they are, or, like, gargoyles or shit like that, like, you just fucking chew through them like fucking butter, and then when the bigger variants of the Tyranids come in, that becomes more of an issue, and then Chaos is an issue because it's driving people crazy, and then sometimes a Lord of Change shows up, and then everyone shits themselves. So, excuse me. So I think it's a really good Space Marine simulator, as far as being like a named Space Marine sort of thing. The game itself is actually fun. There's a lot of like improvements on the gameplay from the first one. There is a whole side section where you play as a group of like who gives a shit Space Marines, which is designed to be multiplayer, which I never played multiplayer. I mostly played with the bots. And I played around with that. I did all of the side missions. You get to like improve your character and improve your armor, and I ended up getting like weirdly into improving my armor. My idea was I wanted to like throw on like the Deathwatch shoulder pad and all stuff like that, and like deck myself out as like an Ultramarine sergeant. So I got like into researching the colors and heraldry that would be appropriate, and then I got to the end of it and I was like, look, I could keep playing and I could keep grinding, and honestly I'm having fun, but also I've got to fucking stop because I have other things to be doing that isn't just playing Space Marine 2. So it is a game that made me want to keep playing it in a way that a lot of games don't, especially third-person shooters. So, yeah, I think that really speaks to, like, how good it was. The multiplayer was, like, overly difficultly tuned at the beginning, but as you get better, once you find a class you like, and once you get a few upgrades and a few levels under your belt, it really does start scaling well into it, and, like, improving your character and, like, customizing your Marine and stuff like that actually becomes sort of like a joy to it. So it's honestly a really good, really fun game. And I like how the story inverts. Now, this is a little bit of a minor spoiler, but in the first game, you get, like, thrown into the Death Watch by the Inquisition because you're too resistant to chaoses. And that almost happens in this one because one of your, like, sergeants keeps undermining you throughout the course of the game because he's like, what's your secret? Why were you in the Death Watch? Why haven't we heard of you? Who the fuck are you? And then you find out that he was, like, ousted for, like, chaos corruption suspicion, and then he starts suspecting you. And then by the end of the game, instead of going through the same route, it, like, inverts that, and your like whole squad ends up like on your side, and they're like, no, are you kidding me? Titus is like the fucking coolest. And then there's of course the reveal with the chaplain, and then you meet up with Calgar, and Calgar's like, we fucking lost you. We tried to get you back. We heard about it. I was fucking outraged, but we couldn't get you back. Sorry about that, my dude. You know how the Inquisition be inquisitioning. We lost your fucking paperwork, which is the most 40k. Titus ended up getting sent to the Death Watch for 100 years because they fucking lost him, which is the most 40k thing ever, because a super competent, super chaos-resistant Space Marine ends up getting fucking, who managed to survive the Rubicon surgery during its early days when it was still killing people, and then immediately, like, the next day, hopped up to fight Tyranids, and then fight Chaos Marines, and then fight a fucking Lord of Change, and they ended up, like, losing him because the fucking Inquisition doesn't keep good paperwork. It's the most 40k shit ever. People think the most 40k shit ever is like Dark Eldar turning people into fucking furniture or shit, or an orc going, I'm a tank. No, the most 40k shit ever is losing a fucking super soldier due to paperwork errors. That's 40k right there, baby. If your 40k can't have them losing one of their best soldiers to paperwork, you're not 40king right. the way, yeah, the game was really good. It was really good. I was pleasantly surprised. It's like head and shoulders above the first game. At the start, I was like, this is about as good as the first game. And then towards the end, I'm like, no, this game is fucking great. This is just a fucking good game. Fun factoid. Because this was after I had upgraded my GPU, I played this I decided I never do this because I like the performance boost. I maxed my fucking settings all the way out on this one. 4K textures. Fucking I capped the frame rate at 60 because I always do that because otherwise it like eats up too much CPU in general. Not that my CPU can't take it, but just because there's no real reason to go past 60 anyway. And I have to say, towards the beginning of the game, we were in the jungle, the game looks a little too good, which is part of a problem, which is part of why I don't increase my graphic settings for most games, is because sometimes games just look too good, and you're like, I don't know, this is a little fucking distracting. I like it when shit was more pixelated. And that's me, and I'm a crazy person. But yeah, Space Marine 2, this game was fucking great. Okay, moving on. We're out of the game portion. That's all I did. As someone who said I played 40K Space Marine 2 because I didn't have enough time to play enough games, that's it. Moving on, what did I watch? I watched Has Been Hotel Season 2. Everyone hates Has Been Hotel. I don't understand it. Season 2 was good. Was it better than Season 1? I don't think so. I know it really tried to sell Vox, but I'm not a big Vox fan, and I feel like his sort of breaking up his relationship with the V's felt a little underdeveloped. I feel like it did irreparable harm to the character of Alistair, who people will say that Alistair's character got wrecked because he got his shit pushed in by Adam in the previous season, but I think him being like a sassy little powerless bitch the entire season, and they're like, oh, he managed to outsmart like everyone in this, and I'm like, I guess that's kind of cool, but I don't know, his aura dropped in this fucking season. I do like seeing the sort of inversion between Hell trying to invade Heaven versus the previous season where it was Heaven invading Hell, and sort of like comping with the idea of Pensius. It does feel like this whole season was created because they knew they were getting seasons 3 and 4. Because it does feel like they really hit the brakes on the pacing. They sort of set up the Lilith thing at the end of season 1, and then I feel like we didn't get any payoff at all. The biggest thing that happens is at the end of the season, we get like Lilith calling Charlie at the end of the season. It was the sort of like stinger at the end of it, but like the whole like talking to Lilith at the end of the previous season had nothing to do with anything all the way up to this point. So it did feel like knowing they have 2 more seasons means they've sort of hit the brakes, which a lot of people complain about this pacing, but I do think there's a middle ground between going on a sort of irrelevant tangent against a TV cult leader and accelerating through your premise where months pass in every episode. So I don't know. I do think it sort of like missed that. Do I like it better than season 1? Probably not. But other than that, it was an enjoyable enough experience. I also don't think any of the songs hit as hard as season 1. I'm honestly struggling to remember any individual song in this. I know there's like Gravity, but I wasn't like honestly that big of into it. I think the final song at the very end of the season was pretty good. But yeah, it was an enjoyable experience. I do think it gets really overhated. People are like, oh, I'm cursing too much. Like, y'all have heard me talk. I don't think this is any like big surprise, but like, yeah, it's an enjoyable show. I still swear that it's better than Hell of a Boss. So. But it did feel like a step down from season 1. It did feel a little ass draggy. Like, I don't think we needed to take the entire season to where we got by the end of the season. And it did feel like a little bit of an irrelevant tangent. Like, the V's weren't a threat in season 1, and I guess they led up to them, but they didn't have the gravitas it felt like to pull off what they pull off in this. So, I don't know. We're moving on to the Apple. This is the final one. Oh, my green screen has decided to swallow this again. So, let's go give this a shot. Oh, wow, that's the worst one. Well, no, I mean, it's not Apple-y enough. Holy shit. Oh, that hit the tongue wrong. Oh, I should not have let that settle. It's like cough syrup. It's like cough syrup. Oh, that hit the tongue fucking bad. Oh, that wasn't good. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh god. Holy shit. Did I have anything else to say about Has Been Hotel? No! Smiling Friends Season 3, it finished and I watched it. What did I think of Season 3? It felt like more of the same. I don't think it had the same impact as Season 1. There's some good episodes in this. I think the Glep episode was pretty good. There was like one other notable one that I thought was enjoyable enough. But, was this the season with the Mole Man? If it was the season with the Mole Man was a good episode. But yeah, I don't know. I mostly felt like more of the Smiling Friends stuff. Like I said, it's enjoyable. It's not a great show, but it's got a sort of like simplistic, chill vibe to it with just like a touch of weirdness that I think sort of hits right. So that's it. That's all I had to say about Smiling Friends Season 3. I think most of my Smiling Friends review was covered in Smiling Friends Season 1. So I've got nothing. That's all you get. Okay, moving on. What I don't know if music is normally the next, but honestly, I didn't listen to the next Kanye album, so you're gonna have to forgive me. We're actually almost done. This is gonna be a pretty short podcast. So I don't know. I don't know what you want from me. I don't. Like I said, we didn't got a lot going on. We also don't have a lot of booze tonight. You're not even going to see Tipsy Sacked by the end of the night, I think, because I'm barely drinking. So, moving on to the semi-final, the penultimate topic, the Adventure Zone Abnormals. The Adventure Zone Abnormals is the next in the Adventure Zone series, and I watched, well, actually, I guess Royale is, but shut up. Yeah, so, okay, I watched the whole thing. The thing about this is the idea is like Saturday morning... cartoon style. Like, there's no cursing this season, apparently. What was the idea behind it? And so it's like Street Sharks sort of thing, or like Ninja Turtles, like that thing where there's like mutant animals of some sort that are like vaguely humanoid, and then they like end up fighting crime. And that was like the basic idea. And it was like an axolotl, a seal, and a cow was what the players were in this season, and so they were superheroes. And it was like a custom system made by Travis. And if I'm being honest, I had so low hopes for this season, but it's honestly pretty good. It's one of the better Adventure Zone seasons. I would actually put it over Ether Sea when you include the second half. In fact. It's no balance, but they're never getting to balance again. All right, balance is one of the two best actual plays ever done. They're never repeating balance. But Abnormals was actually an enjoyable experience. It felt a little underdeveloped in the character area. But it felt like the team never became a real team, because part of the idea of it was that everyone was sort of like ostracized from their old teams, and so it felt like no one ever settled into properly functioning as a team. Everyone sort of went back to their old teams as a result of the ending. So I don't know, character work wise it felt a little underdeveloped, but the narrative that Travis manages to spin in this season was actually sort of enjoyable and loopy, and there was just enough sort of off-center funness that it sort of like kept the entire season like loosey-goosey and engaging. So it definitely took on a more comedic angle, which I'm sometimes not a fan of with the Adventure Zone or actual plays in general, but it really worked for the Saturday morning cartoony kind of vibe. I also like the occasional pan where they did like public service announcements, so I thought that was kind of fun. So Abnormals was a pretty solid season. I like dipped my toes into Royale, but I'm actually starting to consider only talking about actual plays when I've caught up or when I've actually finished them, rather than giving you a first episode toe dip, unless I actually feel the need to, which is why we've not talked about Campaign 4 of Critical Role, but spoilers, I'm not enjoying it. So anyway, yeah, Adventures of Zone Abnormals, shockingly entertaining. Would actually give it a thumbs up and give a recommendation on that watch. Let's go ahead and close that out. And really, we have reached our ultimate topic, but I'm going to finish drinking this apple first. It really is just cough. It's like it's vaguely cough syrupy, is the problem. Like the other ones had a strong enough flavor that they overpowered the alcohol, but no, I'm really getting strong cough syrup. One more. Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay. Oh shit. Oh, we're done. We're done. Oh, let's wash that down with some vodka. All right. Well, 1 hour into the podcast, here we go. The final topic of the night. You know it. You love it. It's Anime Dartboard, the segment of the podcast where we all review a pre-selected anime of 350 minutes maximum that has an English dub, and we just have a nice discussion. What we got here was Oh My Goddess, the OVA from 1993. As someone who has read the manga to a good portion of the points, one, I will say that this felt very rushed compared to the manga. It definitely hit on points that I remember from it, but it was like the manga took its time for the characters to get like ingratiated to Belldandy and then the sisters, and it was a bit more of a slow burn. And the fucking OVA was just gas, gas, gas. It just felt like it accelerated through the introduction of the characters and what was happening in the show itself. What it did more than anything was make me want to reread the manga, though. Like, it made me want to get my hands on the manga, because I certainly enjoyed myself. I watched this early on in the month, so I didn't forget it, like we did, like what happened with Pre-Tier. But I will say, yeah, I don't know if there is too much to dig into with Oh My Goddess. The character designs are fucking stellar, as you can see on the screen, and to the point where I almost like forgot how fucking good a lot of the character work was in the series. But yeah, it sort of made me nostalgic for a type of like anime and a type of manga they really don't make anymore. This sort of like magical girlfriend genre has sort of like died off, and we haven't seen it like a good amount since the 2000s. It used to be like a pretty popular genre too. So yeah, a bit of a disappointment on that, and made me not just want to check out the old system, but it sort of made me wish that more stuff like this was like made. There's been a real tapering, and I like modern anime, don't get me wrong, but it's a little sad when you come to something from the older school days and you're like, wow, they really genuinely don't make it like this anymore. Not that like the stuff now is bad, or not even like the stuff now isn't as good as it was in the past, but like this specific thing, they don't make this anymore. And I really did get that sort of like vibe with Oh My Goddess. Like this is not something you see anymore. And yeah, so it's like a combination of like mournful regret and nostalgia that sort of permeated my sort of like watching of this series. I'd of course be interested, because everyone was supposed to have watched this. I'm of course interested in what everyone else thought about Oh My Goddess. But yeah, this is also one of those things where it's like, another thing, and this is a little bit of a tangent, that they really don't make anymore, is it feels like they don't make any like hyper ecchi series, or at least any of the ones that sound vaguely interesting anymore, because I have been watching my like ecchi watching progression fall off a fucking cliff for like the past 10 years. It used to be like everything was ecchi themed, and now it's just dead. And most of the time it didn't add anything, so I don't feel sad about it. Like, it's not like one of those, what have we lost? But it is a sort of like trend I've noticed, along with, excuse me, a sort of decline of like the magical girlfriend genre. Not that they necessarily coincide. I will say, oh god, what's the one with the girl that's clearly Princess Kaguya and the main character marries it? Under the Moon with You? Did I make that up? Angel Beats is not counted as a romance on Mal? What the fuck? What is Toradora has got to be a romance, surely. Okay. Jesus Christ. Okay. Hold on. This is important to me. But Bakemonogatari is? What the fuck is the criteria for a romance on Mal? Over the moon for you. Tonikawa, Over the Moon for you. Yeah, that's the like latest magical girlfriend thing I can think of. It's like a weirdly dying genre, along with like ecchi. It's I don't know, just surprising. Anyway, yeah, what did everyone else think of On My Goddess, which you definitely watched like you were supposed to? Yes? Mm-hmm. Fascinating. Uh-huh. You're an insane person. Okay. Enough of that. Let's go ahead and move on to the dart. That's Star Wars. I'm going to actually get copyright for that. Shuffle. Did it shuffle the third time? Oh well, fuck it. Who cares? Spin! I don't actually think the shuffling matters! Soul Eater not? It was Soul Eater not. What the... I could tell. I could tell based on how fast it was moving that it was Soul Eater not. Oh my gosh darn. What is this about? Oh, who would have ever seen this coming? I hear this is bad, actually. It's actually sort of ironic that Soul Eater Not was what ended up coming up, considering the news that like the next season of Fire Force is like the last season of Fire Force, and people are sort of like upset about it because it means they're doing like 80 chapters and like 13 episodes or 26 episodes or something like that, which sort of seems impossible. But anyway, Soul Eater Not is a Soul Eater spinoff. Oh shit. That was me introducing it. And a side story that takes place 1 year prior to the events of the original Soul Eater. At the Death Weapon Meister Academy, humans born with the power to transform into weapons, and those with the power to wield weapons, Meisters, train to hone their natural talent. The characters of the main series are enrolled in the especially advantaged talents class, where they train to become warriors just as capable of defeating what threats prey on innocent lives or even the entire world. Other students at the DWMA are less talented. Members of the normally overcome target class focus less on being warriors of justice and more on controlling the powers so they don't hurt themselves or anyone around them. Sugumi Harudori, a new halberd transforming student, meets Meister Meimei Tatane and Anya Hepburn and quickly grows indecisive about which of the two new friends should be her partner as they learn to use these abilities and settle in their lives as everyday students. Will be far from normal. Yeah, I fucked up the reading there a little bit at the end, but shut the fuck up. This is done by Studio Bones, who didn't Studio Bones do the original Soul Eater also? They did Brotherhood, Hiroaka, Noragami, which is bad, Mob Psycho, which is bad, but it's not their fault, and they did do Soul Eater. That's all I cared about. Oh, they also did the original Full Metal Alchemist. And Boom Goes Stray Dogs, which is apparently good, but I've never checked out. Let's see, our genres are action, comedy, fantasy, school, 23-minute episodes, with 12 episodes, so pretty standard length for a anime. And what do we got here? Our director is Masakazu Hashimoto, who... I was actually hoping I could sort this. Here, sort by that. I wish I could sort by role. That would be most useful. Oh well. Let's see. He did Appara Ranman. Appara Ranman was an anime I tried to watch and I made it about 3 minutes into and then I stopped, which I don't count as dropping because if I don't finish a full episode, I can't mark a full episode and that doesn't count as drop. He did episode 21, that movie 21, That's the Chinese food one. That was apparently a 5 out of 10 Shin-Chan movie. He did 23. That's the cactus one. We have encountered this man before. He did episode 25, which was the... I don't remember this one. I don't remember this movie at all. I gave it a 4 though, so it wasn't very good apparently. He did 27. Oh, that was Honeymoon Hurricane. That one was pretty good. That one was pretty good. And he did 33, which I haven't seen. Haruku, haven't seen it. He did a Detective Layton. And he directed Soul Eater Not. So, why did we encounter him recently? Oh, we encountered him probably recently because of Haruchika, I'm guessing. That's probably why he showed up recently. So anyway, yeah, Soul Eater Not. That is your next project. That is your next thing to watch. Apparently it's on Crunchyroll. I'm sorry about that, everyone. Anyway, yeah, there you go. Enjoy Soul Eater Not. You have until, I don't fucking know, somewhere in March? March 1st. You have until March 1st to watch Soul Eater Not. So, anyway, yeah, with that, I think we're good to call the stream to a close. Hold on, let me finish the rest of my vodka. Still have a few 4 sips left, but I'll finish them after the end of the stream. But anyway, yeah, that's the end of the stream. Like I said, we didn't have a lot to talk about. It was late anyway. I don't think anyone's complaining for an early one. Plus, next week is supposed to be the Cold Topic, not Cold Topic, god damn it, the Dialogue Tree Awards. I'll try and get the subjects up on the Discord soon so you can see what is eligible, but I personally need to go through the list myself because I myself don't know what we're doing for the awards yet. Like I said, I only played 10 games and it's mostly a game awards, so not looking forward to that one. But anyway, yeah, that should be happening next Sunday. And then our next podcast episode for Dialogue Tree will be March 1st. Get your Soul Eater Not watched by then. As for the streaming, I don't fucking know. I'll try and keep you updated on that. Like I said, the new SSD isn't arriving till the 16th. So, at least not until the 16th. Maybe even longer if they don't actually fucking send it and I need to get a new one. On the other hand, I'm working on getting a new book haul. So, if anything, look forward to a new Discord post on the book haul. But anyway, yeah, 1 hour. This is a record for the shortest Dialogue Tree episode. But thanks for stopping by, everyone. Main, Sith, for being the active chatters. Anyone else who might be lurking. But yeah, until next time, I have been Sacrabalic, your envoy of hope, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.